Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. This is Nikhil Parekh. In this video, I shall be giving you a recitation of my poem that is with title "As Long as I Had Priceless Hope." This poem of mine has been published in my book that is with title "Love versus Terrorism, Volume 2." Therefore, without wasting a further instant, ardently wanted to commence upon with the recitation of my poem, "As Long as I Had Priceless Hope." I might be currently in hapless straits, without even the most diminutive coin of currency in my inconspicuously bedraggled pockets. But as long as I had the jewel of priceless hope in my soul, I reserved the insurmountable tenacity to metamorphose every iota of pain into a paradise of unfettered happiness. As my inevitably destined moment wholeheartedly descended from the lap of the omnipotent Lord Almighty, of the omnipotent Lord Almighty. I might be currently begging discordantly on the stony streets, without even a strand of infinitesimal saliva to mellifluously tingle my bereaved throat. But as long as I had the son of, but as long as I had the son of optimistic hope in my soul, I reserved the indomitable power to overtopple even the most mightiest of cannibalistic parasites. As my I reserve the indomitable power to overtopple even the most mightiest of cannibalistic parasites, as my inevitably destined moment wholeheartedly descended from the lap of the bountiful Lord Almighty. Lord Almighty, Lord Almighty, I might be currently feeding myself on frigid shit from the dustbin cover without a feather of integrity of my own, as the world relentlessly lambasted my timidly trembling skin. But as long as I had the star of resplendent hope in my soul, I reserved the Herculean prowess of soaring to the ultimate pinnacles of blazing success. As my inevitably destined moment wholeheartedly descended from the lap of the inimitable Lord Almighty, I might be currently exhaling. I might be currently exhaling each breath of mine in the traumatically beleaguered gutter pipe, without even the most mercurial strength left in my miserably blood-stained lips to wholeheartedly smile. But as long as I had the flower of fragrant hope in my soul, I reserved the invincible dexterity to spawn into a sky of unfathomably exhilarating newness, as my inevitably destined moment wholeheartedly descended from the lap of the omnipresent Lord Almighty. I might be currently staring meaninglessly into orphaned patches of azure sky, without a single roof over my head to sequester me from acrimoniously truculent storm and rain. But as long as I had the sea of tangy hope in my soul, I reserved the uncanny mysticism to timelessly charm even the most lugubriously livid particle of the atmosphere, as my inevitably destined moment wholeheartedly descended from the lap of the unassailable Lord Almighty, from the lap of the unassailable Lord Almighty. I might be currently yawning. I might be currently yawning in supremely fretful nonchalance, without the slightest of cynosure and literati, and with the most venomously lethal mosquitoes hovering around my hopelessly deserted skin. But as long as I had the garland of as long as I had the garland of ingratiating hope in my soul, I reserved the profound exuberance to convert even the most bizarrely impossible into the sky of impregnable success. As my inevitably destined moment wholeheartedly descended from the lap of the omniscient Lord Almighty, from the lap of the omniscient Lord Almighty, Lord Almighty, I might be currently emaciating. I might be currently emaciating with thorns of brutal dishonesty, being treacherously plundered into my intestines, and without the minutest trace of dawn in my every unforgivingly imprisoning night. And without the minutest trace of dawn in my every unforgivingly imprisoning night. But as long as I had the rainbow of pristine hope in my soul, I reserved the untamed ebullience to barefootedly adventure into the most fathomless crannies of this enchanting universe. As my inevitably destined moment wholeheartedly descended from the lap of the ever pervading Lord Almighty, from the lap of the ever pervading Lord Almighty, Lord Almighty, I might be currently unemployed at all quarters, without the empathy of a single organism on this boundlessly enamoring universe. But as long as I had the spirit of sacred hope in my soul, I reserved the infallible energy to blaze into philanthropically enlightening tomorrows. Philanthropically enlightening tomorrows as my inevitably destined moment wholeheartedly descended from the lap of the miraculous Lord Almighty, from the lap of the miraculous Lord Almighty, and I might be currently devastated and tortuously ripped apart in every aspect of my life without any ingredient of this universe getting stirred by the unstoppable beating of my impoverished heart. And I might be currently devastated and torturously ripped apart in every aspect of my life, without any ingredient of this universe getting stirred by the unstoppable beating of my impoverished heart. But as long as I had the fortress of perpetual hope in my soul, I reserved the uninhibited magnetism to fall into the oceans of immortally gratifying love as my inevitably destined moment wholeheartedly descended from the lap of unchallengeable Lord Almighty. But as long as I had the fortress of perpetual hope in my soul, I reserved the uninhibited magnetism to fall into the oceans of immortally gratifying love as my inevitably destined moment wholeheartedly descended from the lap of unchallengeable Lord Almighty. Unchallengeable Lord Almighty, Lord Almighty, Lord Almighty, unchallengeable Lord Almighty. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me. From the innermost realm of the heart, wanted to thank you for the victoriously ebullient patronization to the poetry